All right, this is the second half of 6.5, and I will go ahead and tell you this is probably the hardest and the lengthiest part of 6.5, dealing with double radicals. You are going to have some mathematical perseverance here, okay, friends? This isn't difficult. It's just a lot of steps, okay? So make sure you have plenty of room on your paper, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do when we have double radicals, okay, you have to have one radical on each side of the equal sign, okay? You have to have one on each side of the equal sign. So since this one is negative, and I'm just going to go ahead and add it over to the other side. So I'm going to come over here and say that gives me the square root of 5x plus 4 is equal to the square root of x, and then that plus 4 is on the outside. It's not underneath the radical, it's completely on the outside. So now that we have each radical on each side of the equal sign, I can go ahead and square both sides. So that cancels out that square root. So I'm left with 5x plus 4. And again, I'm going to write this twice and distribute. So here we have the square root of x times the square root of x. That gives me just x, because that's the square root of x squared. So that would give me just x. Plus the square root of x times 4 gives me 4 square roots of x. I have another plus 4 square roots of x, and then 4 times 4 gives me 16. So let's take a second and clean this up a little bit. We have 5x plus 4 is equal to x plus 8 square roots of x plus 16. So as you can see here, we still have a radical left in our equation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this x and this 16 in order to isolate the radical. So we have 4x minus 12 is equal to 8 square roots of x. Now, right here, the second step of the strategy would say to divide by 8. However, if I divide by 8, I'm going to end up with fractions, which I do not want to have. So what I can do is divide everything by a GCF. So everything here can be divided by 4, and that allows me to work with smaller numbers. So we would say that gives me x minus 3 is equal to 2 square roots of x. That's a lot nicer to work with, and I'm going to rewrite that up here. So I have x minus 3 is equal to 2 square roots of x. So again, I don't want to divide by the constant here out front, because I would end up with fractions. So what do? I'm just going to go ahead and square everything. So that gives me x minus 3 times x minus 3 is equal to 2 squared is 4. The square root of x squared is just x. So by squaring both sides, I now get rid of my radical. And I'm going to go ahead and distribute on this side. So that gives me x squared minus 6x plus 9 is equal to 4x. I have a quadratic. I'm going to subtract the 4x in order to get this equal to 0 so I can solve. I have x squared minus 10x plus 9 is equal to 0. That factors to x minus 1 times x minus 9 is equal to 0. So my two solutions should be x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 9. Now again, I want to plug those back in to see if they hold true. So from here, let me just take a second and recap back where our red is over here. I did not want to divide by 8 because that would give me fractions. So I divided everything by 4. And then again, in order to get rid of that radical, I went ahead and just squared both sides. Okay, lots of work here. However, nothing too crazy demanding. So now let's go to our calculator and let's plug in 1 and 9 and let's see what happens. So we have the square root of 5 times 1 plus 4 and then minus the square root of 1. Does that in fact equal 4? No, that does not equal 4. So we know 1 does not work. Okay, let's do the second entry thing, and let's change those 1s to 9s. And let's see if that gives us 4. That does. Okay, so 9 works, but 1 does not. Okay. Let's try another one if you are ready. Very similar here to the one that we just did. I notice I have 2 radicals, so I'm going to have to move 1 over to the other side. So that gives me the square root of 2x plus 1 is equal to the square root of x and then plus 1. That plus 1 is not underneath the radical. Be extra careful there, guys. All right, from here I'm going to square both sides. So that cancels that out, and I'm left with 2x plus 1. But on the right-hand side, remember, I'm going to have to write this twice, and I'm going to have to distribute. So that gives me 2x plus 1 is equal to the square root of x times the square root of x is just x, plus 1 square roots of x, plus another 1 square root of x, and then 1 times 1 gives me 1. So from here, let's clean this up a little bit. We have 2x plus 1 is equal to x plus, I have a total of 2 square roots of x and then plus 1. So again, I still have a radical present in my equation. So let's get rid of everything. So I would have x is equal to 2 square roots of x, because I think everything else canceled out. So from here, again, I don't want to divide by 2 because that would give me a fraction. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and square both sides. So that gives me x squared is equal to 2 squared is 4. The square root of x squared is just x. So let's get that equal to 0. I have x squared minus 4x is equal to 0. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to say x squared minus 4x equals 0. I notice there's a GCF of x, so I can take the x out. That leaves me with x minus 4 is equal to 0. So I'm going to say x is equal to 0 and x minus 4 is equal to 0. Well, we got x equals 0, and then we have to add the 4 to get x is equal to 4. So again, we're going to get our calculator, and we're going to plug them back in and see which one works. Okay, so I have the square root of 2 times 0 plus 1, that's still under the radical. Okay, move outside, minus the square root of 0. Does that in fact equal 1? Yes, so 0 works. Okay, so I'm going to do my second entry shortcut, and I'm going to change that to a 4. And let's see if that gives us 1. And it does! Awesome, okay. So both of these worked out. That's great. All right. On this next one, I make a note here that says be extra careful. Okay, will do. Will do, self. So I notice here, I'm going to have to move this over to the other side. So I have the square root of 2x minus 1 is equal to the square root of x minus 1, and then I have a plus 1 on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to square both sides. So that cancels, so I'm left with 2x minus 1 is equal to the square root of x minus 1 plus 1. Oh, now I know why I said be careful. Because that minus 1's on the inside, but that plus 1 is on the outside. Okay, so here we go with multiplying. I still have my 2x minus 1 is equal to the square root of x minus 1 times the square root of x minus 1. That just goes to x minus 1. The square root of x minus 1 times 1 is plus the square root of x minus 1. 1 times the square root of x minus 1, I got another one of those, the square root of x minus 1, and then 1 times 1 gives me 1. So let's clean this up a little bit. I have 2x minus 1 is equal to x minus 1 and then plus 1. Those ones are done. So I have x plus 2 square roots of x minus 1 because I got 2 of those, 1 and then 2. So now I have to get the radical by itself, right? So I got to subtract the x. So that leaves me with x minus 1 is equal to 2 square roots of x minus 1. Again, friends, I do not want to divide by 2 because that will give me fractions. When you don't want fractions, we just have to square both sides. So I'm going to have to do x minus 1 twice. And then here, since there's no plus or minus like in between here, those are multiplied, I can just go ahead and square. So that gives me 4 times x minus 1. 2 squared is 4. The square root of x minus 1 squared, that cancels out. So I have x squared minus 1x minus 1x plus 1 is equal to, I'm going to go ahead and distribute that 4. That gives me 4x minus 4. So from here, that gives me x squared minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 4x minus 4. So now I just need to get everything equal to 0. So subtract the 4x, add the 4. So we get x squared minus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0. What multiplies to give me 5? Adds to give me negative 6. That's x minus 1 times x minus 5. So that gives me x is equal to 1 and 5. So again, from here, I am going to go ahead and plug those back in. Maybe we could do some mental math here. 1 works. 5, that's 9. 3 minus 2. They both should work. If you want to be extra comfortable, though, we can just go ahead and double check. So we have the square root of 2 times 1 minus 1, and then come outside minus another square root of 1 minus 1. Does that in fact equal 1? It does. Fantastic. Okay, let's do second entry. Let's change that to a 5. And does that equal 1? Yep, it does. Perfect. So they both are solutions. That one was a lot of work. Just had to be extra careful, like I told myself, because of that x minus 1. It wasn't just x under here, it's because it's x minus 1. All right. I think we got just a couple more here. The only way we get better at something is if we practice it, so let's keep at it. So we have the square root of 2x plus 6. I'm going to go ahead and move that over is equal to x minus 4 and then plus 1. Again, nothing changed under here. You just added that to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and square both sides to get rid of that radical on the left. So I have 2x plus 6 is equal to the square root of x minus 4 plus 1 times the square root of x minus 4 and then plus 1. Okay, here we go. So I have 2x plus 6 is equal to, those two multiplied together just give you x minus 4 because it's squaring a square root, plus the square root of x minus 4 plus another square root of x minus 4, and then 1 times 1 gives me 1. So from here we have 2x plus 6 is equal to, that gives me x plus 2 square roots of x minus 4, and then I got negative 4 plus 1 gives me negative 3. From here, I'm going to subtract the x and add the 3 to get rid of that. Subtract the x, add the 3. So that gives me x plus 9 is equal to 2 square roots of x minus 4. Again, I do not want to divide by the 2 here because that would give me fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and square both sides. So that gives me x plus 9 times x plus 9. On this side, since it's multiplied again, all I have to do is just square the entities in here. So that would give me 4 times x minus 4. So that gives me x squared plus 9x plus 9x plus 18 is equal to 4x minus 16. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 4x and add the 16. Subtract, I should probably clean that up. X squared plus 18x plus 18. Or sorry, that's not 18. That's 81. Y'all keep me honest here. 81. Plus 81 is equal to 4x minus 16. Okay, let's go. Let's subtract the 4x and add the 16. Subtract the 4x and add the 16. On the right-hand side, everything goes to 0. And on the left, we're going to say that gives me x squared plus 14x. And then 81 plus 16 gives me, what? 97? Okay, ooh, let's see if that factors. Let's do our shortcut here. 97. I don't know the factors of 97. 97 divided by x. Second graph, okay. Let's start at the top. I don't think that factors, y'all. Oh, man, I would have to do the quadratic formula. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't think that factors. I think I did everything right, too. If you have to do the quadratic formula, that's rough. Let me just take a second and double check everything. I think I've done everything right. X minus 4 and then plus 1. That gives me minus 3. Subtract the x, add the 3. 18x plus 81. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. I'm not going to make y'all do that. You'd have to do the quadratic formula to solve, and we are not going to do that. They're going to work out nicely. We'll make sure that they factor for you. Sorry, y'all. If you want to try this one on your own, that would be fantastic. It looks similar to one we've already done. Maybe not. And hopefully this one will work out nicely. So let's give this one a go. And this will be the end of part 2. So we have the square root of 2x plus 6 is equal to the square root of x minus 1 and then plus 2. Okay. So we're going to square both sides to get 2x plus 6 is equal to the square root of x minus 1 plus 2 times the square root of x minus 1 plus 2. So we get 2x plus 6 is equal to, that goes to x minus 1 plus 2 square roots of x minus 1 plus another 2 square roots of x minus 1 and then plus 4. All I did was just distribute here. So from here, let's see if we can clean this up a little bit. 2x plus 6 is equal to x plus 4 square roots of x minus 1, because I have a total of 2 here and 2 here. And then negative 1 plus 4 gives me that plus 3. And then from here, I'm going to get rid of that x and get rid of that 3. Get rid of the x, get rid of the 3. So I have x plus 3 is equal to 4 square roots of x minus 1. So again, from here, I don't want any fractions. I'm sounding like a robot. Square both sides. X squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9 is equal to, 4 squared is 16. And then the square root of x minus 1 squared is just x minus 1. So we're going to say x squared plus 6x plus 9 is equal to 16x minus 16. And then we are going to get everything to one side. So we would subtract the 16x to give me negative 10x. We would add the 16 to get 25 is equal to 0. Hey, look at that. That factors x minus 5 times x minus 5. So then x is equal to 5, only one time. So now let's plug it back in to see if it works. 4 minus 2, that does work. Sorry about that last one with the quadratic. I promise you we won't give you one like that. It'll always factor. Okay? So you are now ready to do the 6-5 homework. If you have some questions, we would be more than happy to answer them in office hours or via Teams.